It's primarily a colonization issue. The English went to Northern Ireland to protect it from being a jumping off place for the Spanish and the French to attack England. But by the late 16th century, well, by the early 16th century, they decided this would be a great place to colonize. And the basic philosophy was that, well, we'll just drive all the Irish off the land, take it over, and bring English people over here. It didn't work out that way because nobody in England wanted to go, so they ended up having Irish tenant farmers. And again, you get into a situation where the colonizer is exploiting the colonized people, which sets up a dynamic that takes a long, long time to unravel.
I worked at LCCG. It was a community group based in Lower Castle Ray. It's a part of East Belfast. The people in the area weren't aware of their rights, their human rights, their civil rights, all that kind of stuff. And he said that their job was to educate that social interface on all those rights, and to kind of create community leaders within that community, smart enough to combat the upper class that had been exploiting these people based on their ignorance of civil rights. It definitely opened my eyes to why this keeps going on and on and on, because it's like a cycle. It's like the cycle of poverty.
While we were there, I worked with the bauxite artists, and we focused on doing a mural for them in their studio. The bauxite artists are a group of artists in Derry, Northern Ireland, who are world-renowned, and they're famous for their murals that they've painted in the bauxite. When we were talking to the boys in the fountain, that was also a huge thing that really brought the conflict to life, because you could just see that they had no passions or dreams except for staying in the fountain and protecting the fountain.
So they need to have something that's kind of like a watered-down version of rights given to these people to kind of give them a basic idea of what they can do and what they can't do, and then they can start standing up for themselves.
Right now, I feel like the conflict in Northern Ireland is just something that has been going on for so long that it's hard to get it out of the mindset of the people, and they don't even really understand where the conflict has stemmed from. And it seems as though anyone you ask in Ireland says the conflict won't be fixed. And to them it will always be Protestants versus Catholics, and that's how they see it.
I think that I realized that the conflict is a lot deeper than what a lot of people think it is. It's more than just a conflict between Catholics and Protestants. It's a class thing, it's a culture thing, it's a boundaries thing where people live, and there are people there that are trying to help the conflict. There are newer generations that are trying to say, you know, we need to come together as being Northern Ireland and Northern Irish instead of just being Catholic, just being Protestant, just being British, or just being Irish.
It needs to start becoming the time of talking together and really talking about what they need the other side to do for them.
I think now it's more important to focus on the countries and the people that are there now instead of the past, because if we keep looking at the past, there's just going to be more conflict.
The idea of harmony, at least applied to music, which we've learned this semester in our class, is people doing different things but doing them together and in a way that sounds good. So I guess the question is, how do we get groups of people who are doing different things to do it together and make something good?
Our trip was a valuable experience for all involved.
Definitely. And it helped us better understand the conflict.
We're hoping to keep in contact with many of our community partners, and some of us are even going back to do more work.
We hope that by working with the people of Northern Ireland, our presence asserted a positive influence on them. And we all now feel a personal investment and connection to the peace and reconciliation process there.
South Africa gives us hope that peace and reconciliation can be achieved in other cultures like Northern Ireland.
Our trip to Northern Ireland expanded our understanding that even the smallest contributions can evoke change.
As the Archbishop Desmond Tutu says in his book God Has a Dream, transfiguration of our world comes from even the most unlikely places and people. You are the indispensable agent of change. You should not be daunted by the magnitude of the task before you. Your contribution can inspire others, embolden others who are timid, to stand up for the truth in the midst of the distortion, propaganda, and deceit.
We can all become agents of change. Every contribution, no matter how small, is valuable. You never know the far-reaching implications of your actions. Desmond also says, "Peace is not a goal to be reached, but a way of life to be lived."
We hope that in Northern Ireland and South Africa, people are striving for a peaceful way of life, rather than merely establishing shallow rhetoric.
Through this class and our experience abroad, we have now dropped a pebble in the pond of change. Who knows the magnitude of ripples that will result?